2023 was a bit of a wild ride for the retail industry in Canada here. We saw the fall of brands like Bed Bath & Beyond. Recently, it was announced that Mastermind Toys is running into troubles. But then on the other side, we saw that Toys R Us is going through an expansion, and Zellers was brought back to the market. And the Japanese fashion retailer Uniqlo just announced that they're going to be opening up 20 new stores. And then in the US, we're seeing that retailers are shutting stores and they're shutting things down. And there's large pharmacy companies that are going into bankruptcy protection and failing. And on top of all of that, we've seen in the retail industry, we've saw theft go through the roof with some retailers removing self-checkout. We've seen online retailers just pushing back on the massive number of returns that online shoppers are doing, and they're starting to charge for returns, which may be driving people back to stores for returns. We've seen the explosion of social commerce on TikTok and other platforms like that. And so as we move into 2024, who knows what's about to come down the pipeline? But I'm joined with Bud Morris, who is the co-founder and the CEO of Canada's Best Store Fixtures. We like to do this type of conversation every year to kick off the new year. Bud, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. As usual, Mark, always a pleasure to be here with you. This is a fun conversation.
Well, and so I'm wondering with how, I mean, I don't even know. We know 2020 was a bit of a trip. 21 happened, 22 happened. We know they happened. They're in our memory, our collective.
That's all we know is that they happened.
They happened. They're in our collective memory. But as we look to 24, can you tell me, what are you hearing? Because you are connected to some of the nation's largest retailers at the C-suite level, and you have your area. You guys help in grocery and pharma and restaurant and QSR and home goods, and so you cover really the gamut of the retail industry. So what's happening today, and what are people getting ready for in 24?
Yeah, well, we're really fortunate to actually cover that gamut, and there's times that you forget about that, but then there's times like these that you're really happy for, because we touch so many different aspects of retail, and there's so many different perspectives and how each of them are going about their day-to-day business. It's fascinating and it's exciting, and figuring out the many ways that we can help is challenging and exciting. And I mean, just your brief intro there about what's gone on this year kind of gives me the chills and makes me wonder why we're in this business. But
well, on that point, are you comfortable speaking? I mean, Bed Bath & Beyond has been and was one of your clients for many, many years. You were very, very integrated into their business.
Yeah, that hurt.
Okay, so like that alone, was there something that you learned from that? What are the takeaways? What's happening next?
Yeah, it's another reminder we need to chase our receivables faster than we do. We tend to be we're a business that, and by design, we're a business that we take very good care of our vendors, and always have, because we want to make sure that that we're being supported and we're in a position to support our clients. And every once in a while, generally once a year, we get stung by that, because we're more generous to our vendors than we are chasing our clients for money. And this was our 2023 sting. Everything was fine. Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. You've heard it first. For everyone listening, Bud will finance the growth of your business for you.
Yeah. I feel like I've done that a lot, but I get no credit for it. But anyways, yeah, so very, very interesting times, and recent as yesterday and this morning, I was meeting with a large Canadian retailer yesterday who has had some exposure to a great deal of public criminal activity. And I wish I could say the retailer, but I can't. Has had exposure to a great deal of criminal activity very recently in the news. And we were talking about how they're defending against that. And one of the things that they're doing is they are forcing their patrons, people that are coming into their locations, if they are wearing a mask and a hoodie, which is generally the MO of the bad guys, they're forcing them to remove said headdress so that cameras can see them, because they have facial recognition technology and they know if you've been there and been a bad guy before. So they're forcing them to do that upon entry. And if they don't, then they're not coming in, which is fascinating to me. So I reached out to another couple of my friends, senior level, very large Canadian retailers, and asked them, are you guys doing this? And the answer was from the other guys, no, we're not. Yes, we have the right to. It's private property. We can refuse entry. We can do whatever we want. Socially unacceptable still. To which I shared with them this other experience, and I said, maybe you need to approach it not from the level of, or not from the perspective of shrinkage and theft, because there's not a lot of social apathy for big retailers losing money in theft.
No.
But under the guise of public safety, maybe there is. So if I'm trying to keep my customer base safe by keeping the bad guys out of my space, perhaps that's socially acceptable today, or more socially acceptable than it was yesterday.
Well, something that you and I have spoken to many times in the past is that there's this pendulum swing that kind of exists within every industry.
For sure.
I remember you telling me a story about the fact that if we go back maybe 20, 25 years in retail, there was a time where retailers were looking to get the smallest aisles, the most shelf space, right up to the rafters, and just jam everything as much as possible onto their shelving. Yep. And then there was this idea like, no, let's actually remove as much as possible, because it's all about the shopping experience and the environment experience. And then it flipped this way and it flipped that way. And so the pendulum is always going to swing back and forth. The idea of 100% automated stores, a frictionless retail, self-checkout. If we go back a few years, even before COVID, that all made sense. There was very much a push to it, and I think there still is, but we're seeing a little resistance because of this idea of theft. Now, this shrinkage, this theft, with rising inflation, rising cost of goods, and what have you, and people changing their spending habits, is this a real thing, do you think, or is this something that underperforming retailers are just pointing to try and make shareholders happy? Or maybe you're not even in a position to comment on that.
Oh, no, it's a real thing. But, in the different ways that retailers are reacting to it is fascinating. And by the way, it's not just for now. It's a solution to making things easier moving forward. And that's this, and we've spoken about it many times, this digital / bricks and mortar strategy, making your retail location a destination where people can come in, touch, feel, and shop online, controls your inventory, makes life easy for your clients, makes shopping easy, makes shopping for big, heavy things easy. There is a sweet spot, and I feel like retailers are moving too slowly towards it. So then we had this conversation. We said, okay, why? Why is that? Because I know when I talk to what I feel are the right people, everyone's on side. Everyone's on the right page. Everyone's on the same page. And we broke it down to, especially the large retailers are going to struggle with it, because in order to execute this, we identified it yesterday as the Bermuda Square. You need the marketing guys on side. You need the IT guys on side. You need the business development guys on side, and you need the C-suite guy, the CFO, the money guys on side. You need all four of these guys on side. And those four guys are very rarely in the same room, and they're very rarely on the same page, and they have different goals and different strategies, each of them. So getting them together and getting them all on the same page is extremely difficult. And that, you might be able to do it. You always get the one store trial, maybe try 2 stores and see if the strategy works, but it doesn't work unless you do it in mass. And it's so hard to get it executed on mass because of the Bermuda Square. There's too many.
And when you're speaking about implementing it en masse, are you speaking about just the multi-channel approach, or are you speaking about the blend between digital purchasing,
100%,
buy online, pick up in store? I was thinking last night as I was driving around, I visited my local grocery store and I was picking up some stuff, and I saw as I was walking out in the parking lot, I saw one of those signs that said, like reserved for online shopping. And I immediately thought, do people still do that? Like is buy online, pick up in store? Is that still a thing? Is that still a thing? Because we thought it was the future, but that's still a way that people choose to shop.
100%. Yeah. And I think that, some retail locations now, you still have, reserved parking spaces right at the front of the store for pickup. I think that's gone overboard. That can stop now. That can go away. But buy online, pick up in store, or buy in the store and have it sent to my house, or buy in the store and buy at the shelf. I'm scanning a QR code with my phone and I'm buying, and I'm having this thing sent to the POS, or I'm having it sent to my home, or I'm having it sent to the parking lot. Those are, I think, fantastic ideas, and they're going to help to solve the inventory challenges that retailers are having, and they're going to make shopping easier, and they're going to help with the theft issue. They're going to do all that thing. Now you've got to get the marketing guys on side with that interaction, so that customers know where they are, they know about the deals, and they provides a better shopping experience. And this is what we were speaking about yesterday, is getting all of those people on side all at once. Well, it seems to me a relatively easy task. If the CEO is on side, then why can't it happen? But it's been struggling and it's frustrating, but I think it's going to happen. And we've got to stay. We as suppliers, we got to stay out front of it and be able to push it over the finish line. So
I think this is a really interesting conversation. It reminds me, I was watching a case study on Disney's implementation of FastPass. And so for anyone who's been to Disney, that if you go to any of the parks for basically like the last 20 years, that they were running into issues where, as they increased the attendance of the park each day, the lines just got longer and longer and longer. And so they implemented originally paper FastPass, so that way people could actually write reservation times to come back, just to smooth out the lines. And then they faced a point in 2009 where they were looking to take this digital, and it was a $1 billion investment. It was a $1 billion investment to take it digital. It took I think roughly 3 years, and in that time, they had a business case for all of these side benefits, but not a single direct relationship to revenue. They could not figure out a way to tie this $1 billion investment, the development of bringing in the imagination people, the creatives, with the park operations, with finance, with IT, bringing all these teams together, as you're mentioning.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it came to the point where they ran the pilots, they had built most of it, but it was time to put the money there.
Yeah.
And leadership decided to still move forward with it because they understood that this was foundational technology and foundational systems thinking, and an approach that they could choose later to figure out how to monetize and build on. But at the very least, it would help increase the capacity of the rides. It would help increase the efficiency. It would make people have a better time because they were able to have more rides, have more downtime, go shopping in their downtime. There were all these side benefits.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they pulled the trigger, and it was a massive success for them. But $1 billion in 3 years.
Right.
And it sounds like that's the type of revolutionary thinking and investment and requirement that maybe you are asking retailers to undertake.
You are exactly right. And I mean, if it was I mean, I'm a bit of a cowboy when it comes to that stuff, but if it was me, it would just be, I got to sit down, I got to understand it. Somebody's got to explain it to me in layman's terms so that I get it. And then once you see the vision, it's just, listen, a lot of people aren't going to understand this, but we support it. And, we're throwing a Hail Mary here, and it might sting, but I don't think it will. This is a gamble. We're going to take it. Or things get so bad that your back's up against the wall that you don't have a choice. That you do it because you're throwing a Hail Mary because something's got to work. I got to make something stick, or this place is going down in a ball of fire. So I love that story. That draws a great, because you can see you got to write $1 billion check. So the finance guys are going to be going, hey, hold on a second. I know you like this. It sounds cool, but there's a lot of zeros here. Now, I'm glad that over these past few years, we as Canada's Best Store Fixers have been so engaged in this technology, and because it feels like it hasn't been a waste of time after all.
Well, keeping things moving in terms of the trends that are emerging, 2023 was a huge year for in-store displays, and actual media networks. Yeah. So we've seen retailers invest fairly heavily, not just in digital billboards in terms of QSR or digital menu boards. We're also not just speaking specifically about interactive type wayfinding, but actual media networks where large retailers can set up their own media networks. They can manage their own media and then either give away or allow their brands to purchase advertising space. And so this is not necessarily a new area of revenue, but it's something that large retailers, I believe I saw that Walmart was testing it, and that's from memory, so if I got that wrong. Yeah. But this is something that you, with one of your subdivisions within the group of companies, has a ton of experience in. Are you seeing an increase in digital networks?
Yes. But then again, you got to tie in that advertising space to the sales transaction, and the opportunity to sell a product along with the marketing and the delivery and the execution. You got to tie all that together. It's not enough to have just one piece of, sure. I mean, and Coca-Cola will pay you advertising dollars. They have it budgeted. They'll pay every retailer in the land budgeting dollars to put up a digital screen. But it's not enough if it's not tied into the entire customer experience. That's unfortunately has been just a sort of an easy way to execute, easy way to make some money. I'm going to put Coke on this, TV that's on the corner here every 6 minutes. It's going to be there, and I can prove that it was up there every 6 minutes, and Coke's going to write me a check. Sure. But is that a real retail solution? No, it's not. So let's stop and rethink what we're doing here and about the customer experience, and remind ourselves that we have to ultimately make them happy and make them want to come here. And I don't think a retail customer is, enjoying their experience more because they have a blinking Coke light on in front of them. It may make Coke happy. It may help them check a box. It may help them justify writing a check to that retailer. But is it really, improving the overall shopping experience? And if it's not, then that location to hang that blinking sign is not going to be there much longer. That's the bottom line. If you're not going to improve your shopping experience, then you're not going to be able to generate that revenue from Coke anymore, because that store is not going to be there anymore.
And so when we want to tie then digital displays and media networks into the experience, are you speaking about the way we take those screens, place them, wrap them, work them into a display that maybe has more purpose? Are you talking about just making sure that you have advertising and media and content that is relevant to the shopping experience? Like what part of this is broken aside from just throwing up a sign and hoping it makes you money?
Okay, so let's take a small example. Let's say let's say you walk into the tool section at Canadian Tire. So Canadian Tire, along with just about every other retail out there, is experiencing great deal of theft right now. So what they want to do is they want to
put everything behind a glass case,
or in the back, right, or in the back room. They want to hide it so people aren't walking out the front door with it. So wouldn't it be great to be able to reduce the amount of inventory on shelf without making it look like we're reducing the amount of inventory on shelf? Create a more interactive display so that I still could, if I wanted, touch and feel the tool that I want to purchase. Maybe run an advertisement for a promotion on said tool at the same time, and digitally purchase said tool at the shelf with my device, and have it brought to the front while I continue to shop. Doesn't that just check off a whole bunch of boxes?
That would be awesome, actually. Like I walk up, and so I'm used to the experience because it's a digital display, and I can kind of look for what I want and find out quantity and what have you.
Yep.
I used to love, I'm probably dating myself, but remember back in the Future Shop days, you could go and you could push the buttons and the different speakers, the different radios,
Absolutely.
the different things. Like they didn't really do very much, but man, did I like pushing those buttons.
Yeah.
And and so I could just picture this more of this digital kiosk where you can interact with it, catalog style.
Yeah.
Get a sense of what you want, and maybe you push a button and it unlocks that one section, so I don't have access to all the tools.
Yes.
And I can feel it, touch it, work with it, put it back, and away I go. And if the idea is that I can continue shopping, and by the time I hit checkout number 3, it's sitting and waiting for me.
And we are approaching a project with Canadian Tire right now that is specific.
You just heard all the R&D here first. Because the answer can't be, and this affects theft as well, but the answer can't be to just put everything behind lockup, because
No.
I've seen photos out of the US of, you walk into a pharmacy and toothpaste and toothbrushes, like even low cost goods. You go down to an aisle and every single product at the pharmacy is behind a lockup.
Right.
And at that point, you're just impeding the entire shopping experience.
100%.
It's like you might as well just say, like, don't come into this store unless you love going to the DMV or something and lining up and waiting for someone and asking them for paperwork. Like, if that's what you love, then come to this pharmacy, right?
Yeah, and imagine the overheads involved with operating a retail space like that. I mean, someone's got to come and open every showcase when you want the transactional cost of buying. All I want is a toothbrush. A toothbrush costs, I don't even know what a toothbrush costs. They give them away free at the dentist.
Ooh, la-di-da, rich man.
I get mine for free at the dentist when I go for my cleaning. But I got to imagine the cost of having that person come and open the showcase for you to buy that toothbrush is far more than.
Oh, no. Then they have to walk it to the counter for you.
Right. Right. In case you make a run for it with the toothbrush.
With the $4 toothbrush, yes. Now, I do want to ask you one last question before we run out of time. So obviously, we mentioned off the top, in terms of CBSF, you guys work across a ton of different verticals.
Sure.
And with the changing Canadian housing markets, with the expansion of new homes and the influx of our population, building is going on everywhere. So it's not like there are not new locations going in. There certainly are. But when we look at things like, let's break it down to grocery versus pharma. There's QSR, convenience, liquor. We got our sit down restaurants or fast casual. We got fashion. We have home goods, hardware. I mean, automotive. It covers. You guys cover the kind of the gamut.
Yeah.
What are the areas that you're seeing the strongest growth in, and why?
We're heading for a bit of a dark spot. I think the first half of 2024 There are very uncertain times economically.
When is it not an uncertain time?
Yeah, yeah, I
it's,
know. But
it feels like we've been blasting this message for the last 5 years.
it really does.
Right?
It really does. But I think that this financial forecast seems clear. It seems like there's no way around it. That things are going to be crappy for a few months. And from a retail perspective, stronger retail partners are the ones that are going to be prepared to provide their clients with essential products and focus on what their clients need, and not the frilly stuff, not the the grocery guys, the pharmacy guys, the hard goods guys. They are going to succeed because they're providing essential goods and services.
Is there a luxury market of people who just rise above because of the price point, because of their income, because of their target customers?
Yeah, of course. But those chains of stores are going to have some more exposure, because obviously they have good locations and they have B locations, and the B locations are probably going to turn into D locations pretty quick. So I'm happy to say that our diverse customer base will pull us through this sort of dark period, because we have clients from all walks of retail, and we do have the strong essential services providers, and I'm on that team. I'm supporting those people and how to get better and stronger and faster in this market.
Well, we can't end on the note of we're hitting a few months of darkness. So I do want to ask you one last question. When it comes to the world of retail, what is the number one thing you are most excited about right now?
I'm most excited about the convergence of digital, in-store, and bricks and mortar. I'm most excited about that. It's finally looking like it's actually going to happen. We've been sort of had our toe in the water for so long, and there has been some great solutions for so long, but we haven't had the convergence, and I feel like the convergence is right around the corner. It's on us, and it's finally going to happen. And I think it's going to be a great thing for everyone, for customers, for retail shoppers, for retailers. It's finally going to happen, and I'm excited about that.
And what an opportunity for retailers who are maybe a little bit more leading edge to be able to capitalize on this.
100%.
And for those who are not so comfortable, they can kind of sit on the sidelines for a little bit and watch and see what happens. But an opportunity to jump in and make sure that you're not falling behind and having to catch up in a few years.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, the solutions they're scalable, right? Like I'll share this with you. I'm at my golf course. We're talking about our pro shop. We're talking about sales in our pro shop, and I'm on the finance committee for our golf course. So we're talking about sales at our pro shop and how to increase sales at our pro shop. So we're sitting in this meeting, a bunch of jugheads. They're golfers that think they're retailers. I said, well, why don't we add a computer screen that is customer facing in the pro shop, where people can shop for things that are not in inventory, that I may be able to customize. Maybe I want a shirt, a cup with my golf course logo on it, that, we as the pro shop don't want to carry all this inventory. Obviously, I'm not going to carry one of these, four of these,
but you can you can just print on demand,
right?
Essentially.
So there's just a simple solution. Why not we just put a computer here? We'll talk to a few extra vendors. We'll get set up with online access. Maybe we'll be able to register our members as they come in for this online shopping experience, and we're going to benefit, and it's not going to cost us anything. Isn't that just a simple simple solution to what we thought was a
plus
problem.
if you have a member list or you're collecting a member list, you can always then start to do upsells around Father's Day, around Mother's Day, around Christmas.
Absolutely.
You can start to maybe add people where they can add partner or spouse lists, so that way they can maybe create like a wish list of things they want, and then other people can gift to and purchase there.
Yes, all of those things. Isn't that fantastic? Just a pro shop. Simple 400 square foot space, and do that en masse in larger retail footprints, and you're solving a lot of problems, checking a lot of boxes.
Yeah, you just took the store within a store concept to the next level there.
Right.
Oh, this is why I like talking to you. And so real quick, if anyone else who's listening wants to find out more about CBSF, where should we go? What should we do? You want to just give us your personal cell phone number, or what's happening?
Sure, I'm happy to. The best place to reach us, sales@canadasbeststorefixtures.com. Visit us at www.canadasbeststorefixtures.com. Anything Canada's Best Store Fixtures will lead to us.